My ex-sprinter girlfriend looked me in the eye and said, "You believe in me." Meanwhile, her brothers called me a soft mark while laundering money through my gym. I found a forged contract with my name as the fall guy. You know how people always say you meet someone when you're not looking? That was me. I wasn't looking for anything, not romance, not friendship, not even a good story. But one afternoon in late March, I walked into my sports complex and found all three. My name's Evan. I'm 39 years old. I live in San Diego, California. Used to be a finance guy on Wall Street, but that life nearly killed me. These days, I run a wellness and performance center, upscale, but not pretentious. We've got trainers, physical therapists, yoga studios, a recovery spa, the works. That day, I was just walking the floor, checking on things. The 4 p.m. crowd was in, some regulars, some new faces. I was halfway through a conversation with one of our strength coaches when I heard a loud thud, followed by a sharp gasp. We both turned. Near the track lanes, someone had hit the ground hard. I jogged over. She was small, maybe 5'4", with long braids and runner's legs that looked like they were carved out of motion itself. She was already pushing herself up on one arm, wincing but trying to play it cool. "You okay?" I asked, crouching beside her. "Yeah," she said, brushing dirt off her knee. "Just slipped?" "Turf slick." I held out a hand. She hesitated for half a second, then took it. Her palm was rough and calloused. "Athlete hands." "I'm Evan," I said as she steadied herself. "You're new." "Laura," she replied, still catching her breath. "Been coming for 2 weeks. Usually during off hours. Trying not to get in the way." I raised an eyebrow. "You're not in the way." She gave a half smile, then looked back toward the lanes. "I'm training for the national qualifier. Sprints. But I've been kind of piecing things together. Self-coaching, old gear, rented lanes. It's not ideal." I heard something in her voice, not bitterness, just honesty. No self-pity. No drama. Just facts. I respected that more than she knew. "Why here then?" I asked. She shrugged. "I Googled the best place in town. This came up. I figured. Might as well dream big." There was something about her, the way she stood, the way she talked. She reminded me of me 20 years ago. Hungry, broke, and trying to prove something. A few hours later, I looked her up in the system and found her file. No trainer listed. No package plan. Just a basic day pass with handwritten notes in the margins. I made a decision that night. The next morning, I pulled one of our best sprint coaches aside and said, "See this girl? Laura. Quiet. Focused. She's the real deal. Train her. I'll cover it." He raised an eyebrow, but nodded. I didn't tell Laura. Not then. I figured if she asked, I'd say it was a grant or some internal scholarship. I just didn't want her to stop chasing it because of money. We started seeing each other more often after that. Post-workout chats turned into coffee runs. Coffee runs turned into evening walks. And before I knew it, Laura was the first thing on my mind in the morning and the last thing I thought about at night. I didn't plan to fall for her. But life doesn't ask for permission. By the time summer rolled around, Laura and I were practically inseparable. She'd come by the center early, train hard, then hang around after for recovery sessions or just to talk. I'd never seen someone push herself that relentlessly and still smile through it. And every time she did, it chipped away at my guard. It was a Saturday afternoon after a small regional meet, just a qualifying race, but still important. I'd gone to watch her compete. She finished second. Good time, but not her best. Right after, I found her sitting on a bench near the bleachers, her head in her hands. "Hey," I said gently, sitting next to her. "Second place isn't bad. That kick at the end? That was impressive." She didn't look up, just nodded and wiped at her face. "My family didn't come," she said quietly. I paused. "Didn't they know?" She gave a bitter chuckle. "Yeah, they know. They just can't get here. My dad's back's messed up, construction injury last year. He hasn't worked since. Mom's got lupus. She's basically housebound most days. My brothers, they dropped out of school to work. I don't even think they have the gas money to leave Bakersfield." It hit me harder than I expected. I'd seen that kind of pressure before, family scraping by, dreams getting smaller because reality didn't make room for them. But hearing it from her, so raw, made it feel personal. I just wanted them to see me run, you know? Her voice cracked. Just once. Just see what I'd been working for. I swallowed. What if I could help? She blinked at me. Help? I could rent a place nearby for them. A small apartment. Just through the qualifiers. Get them here so they can support you. No strings. She stared at me for a long time. That's a lot. I know, I said. But it's temporary. And I can afford it. You're doing everything right, Laura. You just need someone in your corner. She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. Okay. But just until I get sponsored. Once I make the team, I'll pay you back. I promise. You don't owe me anything, I told her. Just keep running. The next week, I made some calls and found them a 2-bedroom in North Park. Nothing fancy, but clean, safe, walking distance to the complex. I arranged a moving service, covered their first 3 months, and helped set up a food delivery schedule since her mom couldn't cook much anymore. When they arrived, Laura introduced me as a friend from training. Her mom smiled weakly and thanked me. Her dad, quiet but polite, offered a firm handshake. The brothers barely said a word. Didn't matter. Laura looked happy. And for the first time in weeks, I saw her fully relax. It felt good, like I was investing in something real again. I had spent years helping strangers multiply their wealth. Now I was helping someone build their future. And honestly, that felt a hell of a lot better. At first, everything seemed fine. Laura trained harder than ever, and her family settled into the apartment I'd set up for them. Her mom started attending her sessions in a motorized chair we helped rent, and her dad made a habit of walking over to the complex and watching from the bleachers. I liked seeing them there. It made the place feel warmer somehow. But slowly, things started to shift. It started small. Her younger brother, Drew, asked me if I knew anyone hiring, said he was looking for something in logistics. I passed his info to a friend who managed inventory at a sportswear warehouse. A week later, the guy called me and said Drew never showed up for the interview. Then her older brother, Marcus, asked if I could help him get a car cheap. Said he needed it for gig work, but when I offered to help co-sign a used Corolla, he turned it down. I was thinking more like a Camaro, he said, half laughing, like it was a joke. But it didn't feel like a joke. Then came the packages, high-end sneakers, designer tracksuits, even a PlayStation 5. Delivered straight to the apartment I was covering. One afternoon, I stopped by to drop off extra gym passes and noticed a brand new sound system still in the box, sitting in their living room. That's when I started to wonder if maybe I'd made a mistake. Laura brushed it all off when I brought it up. They've been through a lot, Evan. Let them have a few nice things. It's probably from their own money. I tried to believe her, but it kept nagging at me. How were two guys with no jobs affording any of this? Then there was Laura herself. She started making odd comments, asking how much the gym made per month, whether I'd ever considered selling branded gear. Once she asked, if you partnered with someone with a big profile, would your brand expand faster? I didn't think much of it, just chalked it up to ambition. But then she started getting pushy. I was thinking, she said one night after dinner, you could invest in some high-end sprint gear. Stuff with my name on it. Laura K. Athletics. We could co-own the brand. People love a rags to riches story. I hesitated. We can talk about that after qualifiers. She smiled, but there was a tightness in her jaw. You always say that. After the race. After the season. What if now is the time? I didn't answer. Then, one afternoon, I overheard something that stayed with me. I was walking past the hallway near the gym cafe when I caught Drew's voice. Just a few more weeks. We set up the front. Now it's about the big push. Marcus laughed. Evan's too soft. He'll sign whatever if Laura tells him it's about her dream. They didn't see me. I kept walking, heart pounding. Later that night, I asked Laura about it. Her eyes flickered. They joke around. Don't take everything so seriously. She touched my arm, smiled. You worry too much. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was overthinking. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Something didn't feel right. I'd been in the game long enough to know when a deal was getting twisted. And this one was starting to smell wrong. But I still couldn't bring myself to walk away. By late July, Laura had shifted into overdrive. Not just with training, but with ideas, constant, rapid-fire, borderline obsessive. Every conversation circled back to our brand. I've been sketching logos, she said one morning, sliding a notebook across the cafe table. Picture this on a running jacket. Laura K. Athletics. It's simple. It's bold. It's aspirational. The sketches weren't bad. She even mocked up a tagline, Fuel the Climb. I smiled politely. You've got a creative side. I have a business side, she corrected. And so do you. We'd be unstoppable if we teamed up. Come on, Evan. It's not just about me anymore. This is bigger than sprinting. She laid out the pitch like she'd practiced it. A lifestyle brand. Affordable gear for young athletes. Video content. Merch drops. She wanted me to register the LLC under both our names, using my company as a parent umbrella. We'll start with your infrastructure, she explained, then spin it off. I nodded slowly. You've really thought this through. Of course I have, she said, laughing like I was the slow one. We're a team, right? I didn't answer right away. I kept hearing Marcus's voice in my head. He'll sign whatever if Laura tells him it's about her dream. Still, I didn't want to push her away. Not when she was this excited. Not when part of me still wanted to believe her. Send me a proposal, I said eventually. Something concrete. Her eyes lit up. Yes, I knew you'd come around. A few days later, she came back with a full packet. Logo mock-ups, a 3-month rollout calendar, supplier contacts. She'd even penciled in costs and forecasted early gains. Most of the numbers were ambitious, borderline absurd, but that wasn't what bothered me. It was the ownership clause. Why is your name listed as managing partner and mine as silent investor? I asked, thumbing through the documents. Just a placeholder, she said quickly. We can fix that. It doesn't mean anything. Then she changed the subject, veered into personal territory. Talked about how she used to dream of being someone big. You believe in me, she whispered, even when no one else does. She kissed me. Long, slow, calculated. I felt it, how well she timed it. And still, I stayed quiet. Then came the kicker. I was doing laundry one night in her apartment, the one I still paid for, when I reached into the pocket of her gym jacket. I wasn't snooping, just emptying the load. There was a crumpled receipt inside. Wire transfer confirmation. Amount, $1,200. Recipient, E. Rosales. Memo. LK promo funds, BetSecure. BetSecure? I stared at it for a long time, then pulled out my phone and searched the name. It was a sports betting website. Not a legit one. One of those gray market operations with digital wallets and crypto-only deposits. The kind of site that disappears once the heat gets close. I waited until morning to bring it up. Lara's response was smooth. Too smooth. Marcus probably used my account, she said, unfazed. He's been moving money around for some event promotions. Betting's not my thing. I wanted to believe her. But the crack had formed. She leaned against me, smiling. You trust me, right? I said I did. But for the first time since we met, I was lying. After that wire transfer, I couldn't let it go. I told myself it was paranoia, maybe jealousy, maybe just the stress of mixing business and romance. But deep down, I knew something was off. I had spent my career spotting risks before they became losses. And now, all my instincts were screaming at me. So I did something I never thought I'd do to someone I cared about. I bugged her apartment. Not the whole place, just a discreet audio device tucked inside a fake air freshener near the living room, and another one in the gym office where Lara had started taking calls and meeting with her brothers more frequently. I told myself it was insurance. That if I was wrong, I'd throw it all away and apologize. But if I was right. It took 3 days. 3 days of nervous pacing, pretending to be normal, smiling while Lara talked about gear samples and brand expansion. 3 days of trying to ignore the sick feeling crawling up my spine. Then I listened to the recordings. It started casual, Lara talking to her brothers, mostly late at night. Their voices were low, but clear. We're almost there, Marcus said in one clip. Once the papers are filed, we'll start routing payments through LKA. No red flags. He thinks it's all marketing. Drew chimed in, laughing. Evan's already done half the work. All we gotta do is let him feel like he's the one helping. Another day, a different clip. Lara's voice, calm and cold. He'll sign anything if it sounds like it's about helping me succeed. Just let me handle the face-to-face. He wants to feel useful. That's all. I sat there in the dark, laptop glowing in front of me, the audio file still playing. We'll push out merch drops, filter the crypto through sales, and BetSecure handles the rest. Rosales is clean. No heat on him. We're good. My stomach turned. They were using me. Not just emotionally. Financially. Legally. My name, my business, my infrastructure, all of it was part of their plan. A sportswear front for laundering money tied to a betting ring. And Lara? She wasn't just in on it. She was leading it. I scrolled through my financial logs and found 3 more charges tied to that same alias, Rosales. All disguised as marketing costs. All funded through the joint budget I had opened for LKA. God. I played the last file on loop, maybe 10 times, like hearing it again would change something. Lara's voice, confident and deliberate. We make it look like a startup. Nobody checks twice if there's sweat and hustle on the outside. Especially not Evan. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in my office at home, staring at the walls, trying to figure out where I'd lost control. And when I closed my eyes, I didn't see Lara's smile or her laugh or her finish line focus. I saw the look in her eyes the first time I offered to help. That subtle glint I'd mistaken for gratitude. But it wasn't gratitude. It was calculation. She had seen me coming from a mile away. A rich man trying to redeem himself. A fixer. A savior. And I had walked right into it. The next morning, I sent a message to a corporate crime lawyer I used to golf with. Just 5 words. You were right. I need help. Because this wasn't a love story anymore. This was a setup. And now it was time to dismantle it. The thing about betrayal is that once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. It poisons everything. Every memory, every laugh, every shared look. And as much as I wanted to slam the door and be done with it, I knew I had to be smart, careful, legal. I looked at my lawyer, Jordan Stein. He was sharp, discreet, and ruthless in a courtroom. Sports merchandising front tied to an unlicensed betting syndicate? He asked as I laid everything out. That's not just shady, Evan. That's criminal. I've got audio, I told him. Financial logs. Wire receipts. And they used my business to move the money. Jordan leaned back in his chair. We build the case. Quietly. You don't tip them off. Let them think everything's fine. So that's what I did. I played it cool. Pretended to be excited about Lara's brand proposal. Gave vague answers about timeline and paperwork. Even smiled through another awkward dinner with her brothers, who suddenly claimed they were working with a logistics partner to handle inventory. Meanwhile, Jordan worked behind the scenes collecting statements, matching timestamps, tracing crypto payments. We had enough to link them to BetSecure, and more than enough to prove attempted fraud. By Friday, we were ready. That afternoon, Lara texted me. Dinner tomorrow? Just us. I want to talk about our future. That word, our, almost made me laugh. Almost. I texted back. Sure, I'd like that. But I had no intention of showing up. Instead, while Lara lit candles and poured wine in her apartment, I was in and out within 15 minutes. I'd waited until she stepped out for groceries earlier that day. My key still worked. I went straight to her desk. The top drawer was locked, cheap lock, easy to pop. Inside was a black binder with a gold LK logo stickered on the front. Contracts, draft invoices, diagrams of payment flows, and a type list labeled Safe Codes for Transfer, ER, DW, LK, Verified. I photographed every page. One document stood out, a backdated agreement naming me as financial guarantor for LK's debts, complete with a forged signature. Mine. I stared at it for a long moment, heart pounding. They weren't just trying to use me. They were trying to pin it all on me if it went south. By the time I stepped out into the hallway again, my jaw was tight, my hands steady. I dropped the key on her welcome mat and walked away without a second glance. Jordan filed the final report that night, along with the audio files and a sworn affidavit. The next morning, the authorities began coordinating with a financial crimes unit in Los Angeles. And me? I went to the beach, watched the tide roll in and out, steady and indifferent. I'd done what I had to do. Now it was time for Lara to face what was coming. She opened the door with that same perfect smile, the one that used to make me feel lucky. Now it just looked rehearsed. You came, she said, stepping aside. I was starting to think you'd chicken out. I don't scare easy, I said, walking in. Her apartment looked the same as ever, spotless, curated, almost too clean. Candles flickered on the dining table. 2 plates were set. The wine was already breathing. She gestured for me to sit, but I didn't move. I know what you're doing, Lara. She froze mid-step. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and opened the recording app. I played the clip, the one where her voice rang out clearly. Evan will sign anything if it sounds like it's about helping me succeed. Her face went still. I stopped the playback and locked eyes with her. The apartment's wired. So's the gym office. I know about the laundering, the shell payments, BetSecure, Rosales, all of it. She blinked. Once. Then her expression changed, not panic, not denial, just a calm, practiced blankness. I don't know what you think you heard. Don't. I cut in. Don't play innocent. You picked me for this. You knew I had a reputation, money, access. You used me. She let out a slow breath. You really think I'd do that to you? I don't think. I know. The air thickened. Her charm evaporated like fog under a spotlight. Then she smiled again, but this time, there was nothing soft about it. I should have known you'd dig, she said quietly. You're too careful. Always were. Even when I cried in front of you, I could tell your brain was still calculating. You forged my signature, Lara. You tried to make me the fall guy. She shrugged. That was Marcus' idea. Insurance. Not that it matters now. I heard the front door open behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't have to. Footsteps thudded across the floor. Her brothers. Both of them. Marcus stood near the kitchen. Drew flanked the hallway, arms crossed. They weren't armed, but their body language said enough. You think you're a big man now? Marcus said. Recording people? Going to the cops? I don't think. I repeated. I know. And this conversation? I pointed to the plan on the table. Still being recorded. Drew took a step forward, but Lara raised a hand. No, she said. Let him go. What? Marcus snapped. He's going to bury us. He already has, she muttered. If he's got recordings, it's over. No point in making it worse. I looked her in the eye. Smartest thing you've said all week. She stepped forward, and for a second, I saw something shift behind her eyes, not regret, not fear. Just anger that she'd been outplayed. You have no idea who we're connected to, she whispered. You think this ends with you walking away? It doesn't. I leaned in close. No, I said. It ends in court. And with that, I walked out. Nobody followed. Nobody said a word. The silence was louder than any threat. It started quietly. A Monday morning, cool and cloudy. I was standing in the gym office reviewing a new equipment order when my phone buzzed with a single text from Jordan. They're moving in today. Within the hour, law enforcement began executing the warrants. The raids hit 3 properties in San Diego and 2 just outside LA, all linked to known associates of BetSecure, an illegal sports betting ring that had been under investigation for almost a year. Lara's family had just accelerated their downfall by roping in a public business. Mine. I kept the gym open that day, but behind the scenes, I was fielding calls from investigators, forwarding files, and coordinating with legal teams. I was in it, whether I wanted to be or not. But I wasn't a target, I was their primary witness. They arrested Marcus first. He tried to lie, claimed it was just marketing. Then they pulled his bank statements. Drew was next, caught trying to withdraw $14,000 in crypto 2 hours after the first raid. Lara was last. She didn't run. Didn't even try. She turned herself in, wearing a plain hoodie and jeans, flanked by a lawyer she couldn't afford and who didn't believe a word she said. The mugshot hit the local news by that evening. She looked straight into the camera, expression blank. I didn't watch the coverage. I already knew the truth. The investigation revealed everything. They had laundered money through fake online orders, paid people under made-up job titles, and pushed payouts through small athlete sponsorships tied to fixed regional meets. BetSecure was bigger than I realized, tied to at least 9 shell businesses, 5 of which had Lara's name somewhere in the paperwork. She wasn't just a pawn. She was a coordinator. The public turned fast. Sponsors backed out. Media called her a cautionary tale, a once promising star with a dark double life. Articles talked about her meteoric fall. They didn't mention me much, and I preferred it that way. When the prosecution reached out, I agreed to testify. I sat through depositions, handed over every piece of evidence. Never gave an interview. Never showed up on camera. This wasn't about revenge. It was about ending something poisonous before it took more people down. The courts handed down charges: wire fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. Her brothers would serve time. Lara's case was ongoing, but the mountain of evidence was growing by the day. Some people told me I should feel vindicated, like I'd won something. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean, free. On the last day of testimony, I left the courthouse through the side entrance. No reporters. No drama. I went straight home, turned off my phone, and sat in silence. This chapter, her chapter, was over. And I was finally done carrying it. It's been 7 months. The gym's back to normal or close enough. We replaced the flooring in the track room, rebranded the entire merchandising side, and quietly phased out any trace of LK. I didn't make a public statement. Didn't need to. The people who mattered knew the truth. Lara never reached out. Not directly. But a letter came 2 weeks ago. Handwritten. Postmarked from a women's detention center in Riverside County. I sat with it unopened for 3 days. Just stared at it on the kitchen counter like it might burst into flames. When I finally opened it, the handwriting was neat. Careful. She didn't beg. She didn't deny. She said she was sorry. That she got in too deep. That she never meant to hurt me, not at first. That it started as a hustle, then turned into something else, and by the time she realized I wasn't like the others, it was too late. She signed it, with regret, and a little bit of gratitude. Lara. I didn't write back. And I still don't know if the letter was closure, or another manipulation. But I'm not angry anymore. These days, I start my mornings early. Coffee by the window. Phone on silent. Sometimes I walk the track before the first clients arrive, just to feel the quiet hum of the place before the world wakes up. A few months ago, I launched a scholarship fund through the Wellness Center, low-key, no press. Just something real. We vet every applicant through a foundation that specializes in athlete development. No strings, no fame chasing. Just kids who are hungry and honest. That's the part that stayed with me, the honesty. Or maybe the illusion of it. I don't know. All I know is, I'm careful now. Wiser. Maybe a little more closed off than before. But I'm still helping people. Because for all the damage Lara caused, she didn't change who I am. She just reminded me why I built this place in the first place, to give people a shot. But this time, the ones I lift up, I'll make damn sure they're not holding knives behind their backs.